I built this wee house in my garden with no building experience, no training, no trade, and no professional help. This is what I planned from the start, and this is what I've ended up with. But this is part one, so let's maybe go back a bit. This is my workshop. It's absolutely rammed with stuff in there. It's far too small for me to use properly, but that's not the main reason I need to replace it. There's our main house, and we have plans to extend it out this way and out that way. And that corner of the workshop there is in the way, so this thing needs demolished. So this is where I'm building, right up the back of the garden, next to this 300-year-old copper beech called John. I'll talk about him in another video. This project is a first for me. I'm not a builder or a tradesman. I'm a scientist and an engineer. Almost everything I've done in this build, I've done it for the first time. It's been a big learning experience for me. But I'm not completely inexperienced. Let me show you what I can do. I built this workbench here, except for this drawer down here, which I never finished, so I just pretend that it's sandpaper storage by design. I built these drawers underneath my stairs. Boop. I renovated this sash and case window, but this one window took me 3 weeks, so I just stopped after that. I made this secret bookcase door, which I also didn't finish. I'll show you behind there sometime. I made this wee shelf by the front door just to stop us losing our car keys, basically. I made this go board, but I made it in my old workshop, which was in a basement. It was like an old police jail cell, and it was really damp down there, so this thing's bent like a banana. If you put a damp clute over it though, it goes flat for a while. I'm also really good at gardening. So I can make small woodworking projects that I never finish, but I've never built anything even as big as a shed until I built this.
So you can basically expect me to fuck things up a lot, which I have, and probably never even finish the thing. This is where I started off though. This is my 3D SketchUp model of the micro house. If we take the roof off of it, you can look inside. So the left hand side here will be my workshop. That's my wee DeWalt table saw that I've got. That's that workbench I've already shown you. It's designed to have enough space here for full sheets of materials to be stored there. And then on this side here, I'll put loads of racking and stuff. It's got a sink in there, the fuse box. If you look at this model, you're able to see all the different layers that make up the building. And as I've been building this, I've been updating it with exactly where all the timbers are and stuff like that. So it's fully up to date. On this side here, I've designed the room to be big enough to have a double bed, a small sofa, and then a desk over here with a TV on the wall there. And then there's an ensuite shower room here that we can't really see with this stuff up here, but that will be a wet room for reasons that I'll go into in another video. So yeah, that'll have shower, sink, and toilet. And then out here, there's an externally accessed store. For now, that'll have our washing machine and tumble dryer, but in future, that'll be a garden store, basically. But yeah, that's it. So this model's available on my Patreon if you want it in SketchUp format. But if you can't afford it, just message me on Instagram and I'll just send you it for free.
So it's a workshop and a bedroom. Why the fuck am I calling it a house? It's not without reason.
I am a house. A full-blown house.
Good boy. These are the Scottish building standards, or regulations, regs they would call them in England. And if you're building something in Scotland that has a toilet, or I think they call it a sanitary facility, you have to adhere to every single one of these regulations. You have to build it exactly the same as a brand new build house. It doesn't matter if you're building a toilet block or if you're building a mansion, the same rules apply. So that's why I've called this place the micro house, and that's why I see it as a house. The only difference between this and a new build house is that I'm not going to put a full-blown kitchen in it. I'm just going to have a small kitchenette, if anything. I haven't decided on that yet. So the toilet will go here. Well, that's the drain for the toilet there. Why did I decide to put a toilet here? It makes no sense, right? I could have done this build much cheaper, much easier if I'd not put a bathroom in here. Well, the first reason is basically because I thought I could do the extension for the house myself. I planned that I would build that myself with my own hands, with no help, because it's cheap and because I'm cheap. But to be honest, after building this, I'm not too sure I'll do that anymore. I think it'll probably take me about 1,000 years. But I thought that this would be good practice for that. I could make mistakes here and it wouldn't matter so much, and I could learn my lesson for the extension. But the plan is still that I will build this to the same level of quality, the same level of finish as an extension would be built to. I'm still going to build it like that to see how well I do, to learn all the trades, all the things that you have to do to build a house. And then in future, if we do that extension, I might not do all of it, but I might do big chunks of it just to reduce the cost of it. The second reason is that I want this space to be as flexible and usable as possible for us living here now, but also for any future owners. The fact that it's built to standards and it has a bathroom in it completely changes the use cases for it. It takes it from a sort of glorified shed into something that could be anything. It could be a granny annex, it could be a studio, it can be, I don't know, Airbnb, all kinds of things. It's essentially a fully functional house or building that can become anything. There are limitations though. I say anything, but there's limitations, and I'll go into that in another video. Why did I build it this size? It's quite simple. I can show you what defines where each wall is. Let's have a look. On the left-hand side of the building here, I'm 1 meter away from the boundary at the back left corner. On the right-hand side of the building, I'm 1 meter away from the boundary on the front right corner. And at the back here, I'm just ½ a meter away from the boundary, just basically to make enough space to get through. And I might put a path here at some point. Hopefully you can see me, I'm standing on insulation. The tree defines the front of the building, not getting too close to it, but you can see I completely failed at that there, and I am right next to it. You can see that the building has an off-center pitch. That's because I'm building within permitted development in the UK. I think it's pretty much the same between Scotland and England. There's some minor differences, but it's pretty similar. Within permitted development, I don't need permission to build this, as the name would suggest. But because of this, I need to keep anything within 1 meter of the boundary under 2.5 meters tall. So that's why the left and right of the building is 1 meter away from the boundary, and why there's an off-center pitch, to make sure that that section that's within 1 meter of the boundary is under 2.5 meters tall. The building itself can be 4 meters tall, and this is quite close to 4 meters tall, but obviously that needs to stay 1 meter away from the boundary as it is here. So that's how I ended up with the shape and size of building, because of permitted development and because of the position of the tree and because I wanted to build in the back of the garden. Basically, I maximized what I could possibly build within permitted development within the space that I have. In the end, what I've ended up with is a house that externally is about 8 meters by 4 meters. I'll put the actual numbers on the screen now in normal units and barbaric units. A lot of this external size though, because I'm building to standards, a lot of that external size is lost to the thickness of the wall. I'll show that now. There's a lot of insulation, there's a lot of layers that are required because I'm building within building standards. So you can see that the building is timber frame. I know that Americans use that phrase for something else, but in Scotland timber frame is all wooden buildings, I think. I knew I wanted to build timber frame. It's the normal building practice now in Scotland. I think something like 80% of new build houses are timber frame, and it's probably closer to something like 100% of extensions and buildings like this, small buildings. Timber is renewable and sustainable, so that's part of it, but it's also that I've never used bricks and mortar before. I have absolutely zero experience with bricks and mortar, and as I showed you inside my house, I do have some woodworking experience. So this seemed more familiar to me. It seemed like for a first-time builder it would be more sensible to work with wood rather than something that's completely beyond my understanding. But there's also another reason. I'll show you that outside. Here it is here. John the tree meant that I needed to use screw piles for a foundation so that I wouldn't hit too many of his roots. So the whole building sits on 14 of these screw piles that go about 1 meter into the ground. I'll definitely make a video about the process of putting them in. It was very complicated. But the look of a timber frame building like this is defined by two things, the roof and the cladding. The roof here I used reclaimed Scotch slate, and these slates have been on other roofs for between 100 and 300 years. I took them, sized them down and put them on here. For the cladding I made this burnt timber cladding. So those two things together, the slates and the cladding, are what give the building its kind of base look. And from here I'm going to add things to make it look a bit more visually interesting. Okay, so that's part one. I'm not really sure what part two is going to be, to be honest. Let me know in the comments, what do you want from this series? Do you want me to give you a lot of technical detail, or do you want me to just blast through this series? I've filmed everything. I've got 4 terabytes of video, so I can try and make these as fast as I can. It's unlikely. Or I can try and make them a bit more slowly and put a lot of detail into them. Let me know what you think would be most interesting to you. But I appreciate any subscriptions, and if you're really interested, I would click the notification bell, because by the time I make my next video, you'll probably have forgotten who the fuck I am. Bye bye!
Please subscribe.